I'm Paul Cram, talking today with the bookstore owner, Kevin Coolidge.
And I met my wife, and she was also, it was a similar circumstance. She was selling some of her extra books online, and we got together.
Did you didn't meet on eBay though, right? No.
We didn't meet on eBay, no.
Okay. I was going to say this would be like a perfect movie. Kevin Coolidge is the co-owner of From My Shelf Books and Gifts in Pennsylvania. He's also a children's author. He has written, I believe he's on his 14th book of the Totally Ninja Racoons, that children's series. How did you get started in a bookstore in, you said it sounds rural? Like how did that happen?
Well, it happened because I always have loved books, and I had several books, and I always say you can never have too many books, but you can run out of bookshelves. So there's some books where, there's some books you read once, and there's some that you keep, and I needed more room, so I went through my personal collection, and I'm like, well, this was a good book, but I'm only going to read it once, because the mystery, once you read it, isn't a mystery anymore. So
Right,
I
exactly.
started actually selling on eBay, and I met my wife, and she was also, it was a similar circumstance. She was selling some of her extra books online, and we got together.
Did you didn't meet on eBay though, right? No.
We didn't meet on eBay, no.
Okay. I was going to say this would be like a perfect movie.
So we were both selling, and then we combined our stores, and we had so many books in our small apartment that we ran out of space, and a small spot opened up on our main street, and it was, to give you an idea, when we opened, we had 3,000 books, which sounds like a lot. It's a lot for a personal collection, but when you have 800 square feet, there were some genres that weren't even represented. There was a lot of empty spots.
Sure. So, I'm assuming that are you still in that same space, or are you in a?
We're actually in our third incarnation. So that was this July will be our 15th year of being in business as a bookstore.
Woohoo! Congratulations.
Thank you. That's in any type of retail business, one business year is a lot like dog years. It's like equivalent of 7 years.
Yeah. Do you have any quirks to your bookshop? I know, like in the YouTube series, it references a cat.
Oh, yes, we do. Actually, that's one of the things I was thinking, like, when I sit down and like why people should shop local with us, it's because we also support Huck and Finn. So we have 2 bookstore cats named Huckleberry and Finn, and the cats that are in the series, those are our cats. They're still with us. They turn 8 years old this summer, and cats and books, well, they just go together.
No, exactly.
They actually have their own book.
Okay. Well, Huck and Finn. If people want to see them, they need to watch some episodes, because it sounds like they're both featured in your YouTube series, From My Shelf Books versus the Evil Empire. So people take a look. No, that's fantastic. I mean, being an entrepreneur, and especially running a bookstore in this age of, everybody hears bookstore and everybody's slammed with, it's almost like the name I should not mention, but Amazon. Like, I know that I want to tell our listeners, From My Shelf, you did actually even a YouTube series based on From My Shelf Books versus the Evil Empire, which I believe represents Amazon, correct?
It does. That's kind of my moniker for Amazon is the Evil Empire. It's because it's this huge conglomerate that is running over everybody. So it's like the web series, and it's an interesting. The web series actually has an interesting origin too, because for how we actually started the series is I had a friend who is an actor, and he went out
Okay.
to Los Angeles and he did the acting thing. And he's from a small town, so he found out, as I'm sure you have, that it's a tough business. Not that I know
I
anything,
know some of this. Yes. Yes.
but it's a business. And he decided that he didn't want anything to do with it anymore, so he wanted to actually write. So he moved back to our small town, and I told him, well, if there's anything I can do to help you, like the bookstore has great production value.
Oh,
And
okay.
and then what we did is we actually sat down and we created this series like based out of the bookstore. So our our budget was probably about $5 an episode. And we did all the writing ourselves. We got our friends and some of our customers to do some acting. Me and my friend Bill Robertson, we wrote the script. We had a friend who was a senior in high school. She was the director of photography, and she did an excellent job. So we only did one season for 8 episodes, but from what I've learned, like the best way to kind of poke fun at somebody like that is you poke up. So we use comedy, we use humor to kind of highlight the situation, but to show like almost a satire of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually, and I did watch some of the episodes on YouTube, and I was wanting to compliment the writing because I mean, I myself as an actor, I've worked on, small indie films and bigger studio backed productions. But something I noticed about yours, I'm surprised to hear it only was like a budget of around $5, one, because it did look pretty good, like the whole bookstore. But two, the writing was, I found myself, I was like, this is pretty sharp. I dug the satire of it. So I will include for people listening some links and stuff in the show notes to watch that, and obviously to your website as well. Um, and they can check that whole series out. um is it what where does the evil empire come from? Is it solely just because that Amazon is like this big thing, or is it more personal than that?
It's a little bit of both, because you've probably heard that if you do what you truly love, that it's never work, but you'll end up working every day and you take a lot of things personal. So
Yeah.
so I mean, to Jeff Bezos, it's nothing personal, but it's a little personal to me because it's how it's how I make my living.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I can understand that. And is there a um like when you first started out, did you, because I believe I saw on your website that I don't know if I totally understand. You worked for Amazon or with Amazon?
We didn't work for Amazon. One of the things that when I started selling used books online, I was using eBay. And actually, at that
Oh,
time, there was
yeah.
Halfcom, and
Mhm.
Halfcom got absorbed. But my wife was selling part time on Amazon.
Okay.
So when we combined forces, we just went to Halfcom. I had up over several years, so we went on that, and then we did sell some on Amazon. I mean, is pretty bad, and they can just drop you at any time.
Yeah, which I'm a little bit familiar. I know a friend of mine, she sells on eBay, and I think she ran into some of that too, where it was like it wasn't very clear to her because they were like, oh, your account, we're turning it off or something, and it was confusing because, and that's where I think the kind of what you're talking about too, where it's like huge corporations where they kind of start to not care about the individuals, they care about the bigger. I don't know.
Yeah,
It
they
gets
they keep they
dicey.
keep no. It starts turning to shareholders, and it's when it gets to be so big, it's I don't want to quite use the term evil, and that's why I kind of use it in jest. But it becomes a monopoly. It becomes
Mhm.
harder for innovation. It becomes harder for the small guy. I mean, this is still the American dream is still to be able to start your own business. And when when the playing field isn't level, I mean, it's I know it's not going to be level because I'm a small business. But
Right.
when it's so stacked against you, it's that is when it's really tough.
Yeah, no, and there's something that that I recently read, and you might know more about this or maybe not, but the like some of the things that I used to love about like Amazon, it's like, oh, they have Amazon Originals and just different things like that, and you can access like their Kindle and stuff like that. But I was talking to a librarian, and she was like, those they don't give us access as libraries to that content, and that's not a good thing. Like that's a I don't like that because I'm such a big fan of libraries, and stuff. So like there's things like that, even bigger picture where it's like, well, why aren't you why the way that they're doing business is a little bit interesting to me because it's like, no, I think libraries and literacy is so important to me. And like, I don't know, when you turn all of that into just solely however they're choosing to run it, I'm not a fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you are also, in addition to owning a bookstore, you also, I believe, are an author, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
I am. So I actually this January I published my 14th book,
Okay.
and I'm mostly known for the creator of the Totally Ninja Raccoons, which is a children's
Love it.
series. I love it. It's about three raccoons who decide to become ninjas because they already have the mask.
That's great. Okay.
So, so sometimes you just have to go with your strengths, and that's the same with how we run our bookstores. We go with our strengths. So there's some things you just can't compete against, so you don't. You use your
Yeah.
particular strengths, and that's
Yeah.
kind of the ideal behind these stories. The series is that you're always learning, and you go with what you already have.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah, and being a children's author, I've heard that is a really really hard space to publish in and stuff. So kudos to you. So in addition to, I feel like you really like challenges, Kevin.
Oh, I do, because this is actually the the bookstore is actually my second business. My first business, I'm a certified massage therapist, and of course that's a great thing to do. Like a joke is, a massage is good to do when you're looking for what you want to do with the rest of your life. So I mean it's a
Yeah.
that's a tough business. And I also had a small rural gym, which is also a tough business.
No kidding. No kidding. Um yeah, challenges sound like you're it sounds like you're not afraid of the challenges, which I think is awesome. So what is the title of the book that you have that's coming up, the 14th one?
And the 14th one is actually Rebecca Whitehouse Raccoon.
Rebecca Whitehouse Raccoon. Okay. I
And it's
love that.
actually a true story. So my picture books, the Ninja Raccoon series is a series of early chapter books.
Mhm.
I do several picture books, and actually this is a true picture book of about the raccoon that was in the Coolidge administration. So President Coolidge had a pet raccoon, and this story is about the raccoon.
And that's about the raccoon. And I'm connecting dots that are not there, but your last name is Coolidge. There's no relation, is
It
there?
is.
Is there
There
really?
is actually some.
Okay.
There is. We're not real close. I don't get invited to the family reunions, but we are distantly related.
You're related. Okay, that's really awesome. And that's kind of awesome that you're writing a book related in a way to that as well. That's that's fantastic. Um is there where can people find where can people find these books?
So actually, one of the good things that came out of the pandemic, at least for me, was it because being a children's author can be hard because you have to kind of access that childlike portion of yourself. So
Yeah.
writing during the pandemic was hard, but I actually developed my own website, kevincoolidge.org.
Easy. Okay, great. Great.
So
Yeah. I'll include
so
that.
they're all available on my website,
Okay.
and they're all available on the bookstore's website, which is wellsborobookstore.com.
Wellsborobookstore.com. Okay, sweet.
Again, easy to remember. And
Very
of
easy to
course,
remember.
having a small bookstore, I love bookstores. So I love bookstores. Before we had our own, I still like bookstores. So if we travel, we don't travel very much because we're pretty much married to the store. But if we go somewhere, we always stop in the nearest bookstore. And if you have a bookstore in your hometown, you're a lucky individual. And please patronize it, and you can order my books there. They might not have them in stock. There are several bookstores around the country that carry them, but if they don't, just say, I would like to order Rebecca Whitehouse Raccoon, and they can get it for you.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, yeah. There is a bookstore that opened up here. I want to say it was kind of like towards the end of the pandemic. But Irreverent Books is the name of it, and it's here in Minneapolis. And I've been trying to support them, Kevin, because it's like, yeah, I want local bookstores. You know, I want them to succeed. So, is there anything else that you want people to know before we let you go?
I think that covers it. I want people to know that, literacy is very important. It's, in this day and age, there are so many distractions, and it's like anything, you have to make time for it.
Yes.
And so one of the things I get so much being both a children's author and working in a bookstore, people say, well, how do I get my children to read? Well, children learn from their parents. So let them catch you reading.
Yes. No, that is such good advice. That is such good advice. So, I thank you for those words of wisdom, for sharing some of your story, Kevin. I look forward to you. You know, fast forward a few years, maybe you'll hit book 50 when you're of your writing.
I'm working on it. I'm working on number 15.
Thank you, Kevin, so much for joining me today. I appreciate it. Listeners, if you'd like to know more about Kevin, log on to kevincoolidge.org. and find out more about his bookstore and order some books online at wellsborobookstore.com. I'm Paul Cram. I look forward to talking to you all and seeing you soon. Okay.